You could feel it the second he stepped onto field. The shift, not just in tone, not just in tempo, but in something deeper, something that lives in a franchise's bones. The Cleveland Browns, a team infamous for its quarterback carousel and commitment to chaos, had stumbled, maybe accidentally, maybe miraculously, into something that felt different. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. And on day 5 of training camp, Shedeur Sanders didn't just participate in the moment. He owned it. He wasn't supposed to. That's the funny part. 5th-round rookies are expected to command huddles like seasoned pros. They're not supposed to torch the second-team defense with 100% completion rates. They're not supposed to throw with such mechanical efficiency that it forces a row of clipboard-holding coaches to share awkward glances and reevaluate depth charts. But Shedeur did all of that, and then some. 9 for 9, 2 touchdowns. No picks, no panic, no flukes. Every rep was a clinic. His reads? Quick and deliberate. His pocket presence? Almost eerie in its calm. And the throws? Crisp, layered, timed to perfection. Whether it was a quick slant that led his receiver like GPS navigation or a rollout touchdown toss just over a linebacker's fingertips, Shedeur looked less like a developmental project and more like a pre-installed franchise quarterback who just hadn't been given the keys yet. The best part? He made it look easy. But this wasn't about flash. This was about command. Presence. The kind of thing you can't coach and can't fake. You either have it or you don't. And Shedeur? He has it in spades. The pocket collapsed on him more than once. The defense wasn't taking it easy. Far from it. Padded practice brought contact, intensity, and chaos. But when things got messy, Shedeur didn't blink. He didn't scramble out of fear. He rolled with a purpose. Eyes downfield, manipulating defenders with just a tilt of his shoulders or the twitch of a glance. And then, with a flick of the wrist, touchdown. It wasn't just execution. It was storytelling. Every dropback felt like a narrative unfolding in real time, and the crowd, teammates, staff, fans, couldn't look away. You want to know the play that sent a ripple through the locker room? It was the second touchdown. Pressure coming. Pocket melting like candle wax. Most young QBs panic there. They either eat the sack or fire off a desperate throw into coverage. But Shedeur, he stepped up, waited for just half a beat longer, baited the linebacker into freezing, then whipped the dart between 2 defenders into back corner of the end zone. It hit his receiver in stride, shoulders squared, 2 feet in. Silence. Then eruption. It wasn't just a touchdown. It was proof that Shedeur Sanders isn't just riding the wave of offseason hype. He's the undertow pulling the rest of this QB room into uncomfortable questions. Because here's the thing. It's not just that Shedeur is good. It's that he's as good this early. And suddenly, the entire plan, whatever plan the Browns coaching staff had coming into the season, is unraveling. They thought Kenny Pickett would step in, handle the offense, hold it down while the rookies developed. But now Pickett's sidelined, rehabbing a lingering muscle strain, and the door that was supposed to remain tightly sealed for another 6 months? Shedeur kicked it wide open and walked right through. Dillon Gabriel, the other rookie with more draft pedigree, has looked serviceable. Flacco's been steady. But no one, and this isn't just media talk, this is coming from whispers around the facility, has looked like that guy the way Shedeur has. Receivers are requesting to run routes for him during drills. Defensive backs are bringing extra heat just to test him. And linemen are rallying around him in a way they usually reserve for the actual starter. It's not mutiny. It's gravity. Shedeur is pulling this team toward him. And now the coaching staff is stuck between 2 worlds, the one they planned for and the one unfolding in front of their eyes. The question is, can they swallow their pride and pivot? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Every rep Shedeur gets, he looks more like the best quarterback on the field. And every rep he doesn't get is starting to feel like a waste of everyone's time. Even Kevin Stefanski, typically stoic and noncommittal, when asked about the QB depth chart, seemed slightly rattled in his most recent media appearance. He repeated the usual lines, open competition, everyone getting evaluated, long camp ahead. But you could hear it in his tone. He knows what's happening. Everyone does. And as the days tick forward toward preseason kickoff, the pressure is no longer just on Shedeur to earn the job. It's on the staff to explain why he doesn't have it. Because at this point, anything less than serious consideration for QB1 feels like malpractice. And no one's buying the old excuses anymore. Oh, he needs time to learn playbook. Except Shedeur is now calling out blitz protections mid-practice and adjusting route trees on the fly. Oh, we want to bring him along slowly. Except he just went perfect in padded practice with defenders in his face and touchdowns on the board. Oh, he's just getting reps with the twos. Cool. And he's embarrassing them. Even local reporters who were initially skeptical have started shifting their tone. The headlines are changing from Sanders shows potential to Sanders outperforming expectations to QB controversy brewing in Cleveland. But it's not a controversy. It's a coronation, one the team is either going to embrace or resist. And make no mistake, the fan base is watching closely. Browns fans have been through enough heartbreak to recognize when something special is in front of them. And they're already showing up in number 5 jerseys, chanting his name after drills, reposting clips on Twitter with captions like, "Let the kid cook." You can't bottle this kind of momentum. You either ride the wave or get swept under it. And Shedeur, he's not asking for anything. He's not lobbying. He's not politicking. He's just throwing dots, reading coverages, commanding huddles, and stacking wins. Practice after practice. What more can he do? Honestly, not much. At this point, it's on the Browns brass to decide whether they want to lead or lag behind. Because Shedeur Sanders has already proven one thing definitively. He's not the future of this team. He's the present. And the only thing left to decide is whether Cleveland's ready to stop dreaming about the quarterback they've been searching for and start building around the one they already have. If the Browns are serious about winning, about momentum, about building something real, they'll hand him the ball, and they'll never look back. The next morning, the buzz hadn't worn off. Film room chatter wasn't about Dylan Gabriel's footwork. It wasn't about Flacco's veteran calm or Pickett's pending return. No, every whisper, every shared glance, every raised eyebrow around the building was centered on one name, Shedeur. The film from day 5 didn't just confirm what the eye test already screamed. It added depth to it. Coaches slowed it down frame by frame. The touchdown throws weren't lucky. They were deliberate, timed, executed with surgical precision. Reads were made in under 2 seconds. Blitzes identified. Checkdowns ignored for smarter second reads. And the most telling moment? His demeanor in the huddle. No wasted motion. No frantic yelling. Just direct eye contact, a quiet voice, and complete control. Receivers leaned in. Linemen straightened up. It was no longer just about a rookie trying to earn his stripes. It was about a young quarterback stepping into power without permission, because power like that doesn't ask. It arrives. By lunchtime, the coaching staff was split, not in hostility, but in caution versus conviction. One side, mostly made up of longtime assistants and developmental guys, preached patience. He's good, they said, but don't rush him. Give him time. We've seen flashes before. But the other side, the analysts, the offensive assistants, the people in the building who stare at numbers and progression charts all day, they were done being cautious. This isn't a flash. It's a full-on fire. Meanwhile, Shedeur, he wasn't politicking for either camp. He was in the weight room early, as usual. Shoulder bands, footwork drills, grip strength reps. His headphones were in, eyes locked in that now-familiar laser focus. A few beat reporters spotted him during walk thrusts later that day, staying after to throw extra reps with the third-string receivers. Yes, the third-string guys. Because even with the spotlight beaming, Sanders hadn't been promoted to first-team reps. Not officially. Not yet. But that afternoon, something changed. Midway through the session, an assistant coach jogged across the field, leaned in, and whispered something to Sanders. He nodded, calm as ever, and then, without any fanfare, he trotted over to the first-team huddle. It was quiet, eerily quiet, the kind of silence that happens right before a seismic shift. The players didn't cheer. They didn't groan. They just adjusted. Linemen reset their stances. Receivers snapped into attention. And for the first time in camp, Shedeur Sanders was under center with the full arsenal at his disposal. First play action. The defense brought heat. He stepped up, dumped it to the tight end for a clean 6-yard gain. Second play, deep post to the sideline. Hit the receiver on the numbers. Third play, red zone rep, designed rollout. A fake pump. He kept it, ran it in untouched. It wasn't just efficient. It was commanding. The offense moved smoother, crisper. The tempo elevated. By the end of the session, he had gone 7 of 8 with rushing TD and no turnovers against the Browns' starting defense. And just like that, the whispers turned to murmurs. The murmurs became conversations. And back in the media room, someone finally asked the question out loud. Is this guy actually about to win the starting job? The answers were cagey. Stefanski still wouldn't commit. He gave the usual "we'll review the tape," and "there's still a lot of camp left" routine. But his body language was different. You could tell. He wasn't just covering his cards. He was realizing his hand might be better than he thought. And across the building, the marketing department had already started running mock-ups of jersey rollouts featuring number 5. Ticket sales were ticking upward. Social media engagement was booming. The Browns had stumbled into something they hadn't had in decades, a storyline that didn't revolve around disappointment. Shedeur wasn't just producing on the field. He was producing hope. That night, ESPN analysts started tossing around phrases like instant impact and rookie phenom. NFL Network reran his training camp highlights on a loop. Twitter ran wild. Some fans even started comparing his poise to a young Russell Wilson. Others said he had a little Mahomes in his off-script creativity. Of course, the skeptics remained. He hasn't played a real NFL snap. Training camp isn't the regular season. Don't overreact to 5 padded practices. Fair, logical, reasonable. But here's the thing. Greatness doesn't always wait for permission. Sometimes it just shows up early and dares everyone else to catch up. And Shedeur wasn't just showing up. He was applying pressure. Consistently. By day 6, things got even more dramatic. Joe Flacco, the seasoned vet, threw 2 interceptions in 7-on-7s. Dylan Gabriel misfired on back-to-back third-down drills. The offense sputtered until Shedeur stepped in again. This time, they gave him a full 12-rep series. He didn't blink. First drive, scored in 4 plays. A perfectly arced back corner fade over the outstretched hands of a starting cornerback. Second drive, 75 yards. Touchdown on a slant route, so well-timed that even the defenders shook their heads walking off the field. It was becoming a problem. Not for Shedeur, but for the people trying to keep him off the field. Because at a certain point, he needs more time starts to sound like we're scared to admit the rookie's better. Inside the locker room, the vibe was shifting too. Receivers had started volunteering to take reps with him after practice. Veterans like Amari Cooper had gone out of their way to compliment his footwork. Even Myles Garrett not want to hand out casual praise. Told reporters, he's making plays. You can feel his presence. That's real. By the end of the week, the story had moved beyond Cleveland. National networks were asking, why isn't he the starter yet? Former quarterbacks were jumping on podcasts and breaking down his mechanics. Social media had officially dubbed him QB1. And Shedeur? Still quiet, still focused, still hitting the field early, staying late, asking coaches questions, running drills with backup receivers, reviewing iPad film in the locker room corner while others scrolled through memes. Because what makes all this even crazier is that he hasn't asked for anything. He's not demanding the job. He's earning it, relentlessly. And that's why it feels inevitable. Inevitable that he's going to force the Browns into a decision that some of them are scared to make. Not because they don't believe in him, but because they didn't plan for him. He's crashing the timeline, breaking the mold, redefining what a rookie quarterback development arc even looks like. And when the preseason kicks off and the lights are real and the defense doesn't take it easy, one thing for sure. If Shedeur gets the ball first, Cleveland will never let anyone else touch it again. The clock is ticking. The fans are ready. The locker room is shifting. And Shedeur Sanders? He's already there. By the time the first preseason game week rolled around, the tension in the building was less about uncertainty and more about inevitability. Shedeur Sanders had gone from the flashy fifth-rounder to the gravitational center of the Browns' quarterback room. Coaches couldn't hold him back much longer, not without creating visible fractures in team morale. Players knew it. Reporters knew it. Even the fans flooding social media with hashtag #LetFiveCookChance knew it. But more importantly, so did Sanders. He didn't posture. He didn't politic. He just showed up to walk thrust early, got his throwing shoulder loose, and kept hitting his receivers like it was week 17, not week 1 of preseason. The reps still weren't even, but the efficiency was overwhelming. He didn't waste a single throw. At one point during a joint practice with the Lions, Shedeur lined up behind the second-team offensive line, staring down a mix of first- and second-string Detroit defenders. The play was a designed rollout to his weak side, a test for timing and footwork under duress. Detroit blitzed. The edge rusher got there fast. Shedeur didn't flinch. He cut back inside, sidestepped a linebacker, and launched a dart off his back foot to a receiver dragging across the field. The ball beat 2 defenders. Perfect placement. First down. Silence. Then applause from both sidelines. A few Lions defenders were overheard saying, "Okay, that's different." Even their coach gave a slight nod across the field, recognizing what everyone else was seeing. This wasn't a quarterback with potential. This was a quarterback ready now. That night, the coaching staff held its longest closed-door meeting of camp. No cameras, no leaked quotes, just a lot of hard questions, uncomfortable truths, and film review on a loop, because the Browns had painted themselves into a corner. They'd invested a third-round pick in Dillon Gabriel, brought in Kenny Pickett with expectations, and still had Joe Flacco in the room. Every one of those decisions was supposed to create a safe, tier quarterback ecosystem. But what do you do when the guy you draft in the 5th round shows up looking like your franchise savior before he's even played a real NFL snap? You can't bench him. Not without risking the locker room. Not with the veterans whispering, "He's got it." Not with the offense moving way more smoothly under his command. And not with the owners making backroom comments like, "Get the cameras on him when he walks out." Because now it wasn't just about who the best quarterback was. It was about who could carry the brand of the Browns. Shedeur was already that guy. The fans wanted him. The media was leaning in. National broadcasters had started requesting Cleveland games for primetime flex consideration just in case the rookie starts. And when the Browns released their first unofficial preseason depth chart, the internet exploded. QB1, Kenny Pickett. QB2, Dillon Gabriel. QB3, Shedeur Sanders. It was a formality, but it read like a lie. People were furious. Sports talk shows ran segments titled, "What is Cleveland hiding?" And "Why isn't Shedeur starting?" One analyst said flat out, "You're delaying the future for the sake of a failed plan." Still, the Browns stayed quiet. Head coach Kevin Stefanski offered boilerplate quotes about the rotation and keeping competition alive, but his voice lacked conviction. It was clear he was walking a tightrope between player performance and front office politics. Then came the first preseason game. Shedeur Sanders wasn't named the starter, but he was told he'd play the entire second half. And from the moment he took the field, it was clear the Browns had a problem in the best possible way. First drive, 80 yards. 4 plays. Touchdown on a laser beam to back of the end zone. Second drive. Quick out to the sideline, followed by a 30-yard dime on a corner route. Another touchdown. Third drive, a 2-minute drill. Under pressure, out of the pocket, rolling left. A flick of the wrist. Touchdown. By the end of the night, Shedeur Sanders had gone 13 for 212 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 turnovers, and 1 statement heard around the league. The crowd in Cleveland had never cheered louder for a preseason game. The locker room, quiet then explosive. Even the veterans couldn't hide their awe. Amari Cooper walked over after the game and said, This is your team if you want it. Myles Garrett? He's different. And Coach Stefanski? He didn't say much post-game, but his tone had changed. He praised Shedeur's command, his composure, and then ended the presser with a telling line, "This is going to be a week-by-week evaluation." Translation: the clock has started. The next morning, reporters weren't asking whether Shedeur would start week 1. They were asking how the Browns could justify anyone else. Joe Flacco was quiet during interviews. Dylan Gabriel posted a cryptic tweet. Kenny Pickett, still nursing soreness, gave vague answers about helping the team however he could. Meanwhile, Shedeur, he was back at it, reviewing tape, asking for red zone reps in practice, running silent count drills with the third-string O-line, just in case he had to operate under pressure again. Because here's the thing no one had really seen coming. Not just the talent, not just the execution, but the professionalism. Shedeur carried himself like a 5-year veteran in a rookie's cleats. He took questions with calm. He gave praise before claiming credit. And even when directly asked if he believed he was the best quarterback in the room, he said, simply, "I believe in my preparation. The coaches would decide the rest." No headline, no drama, just hunger. That's when the locker room fully flipped. Receivers were requesting to run with him during drills. Defensive backs admitted he was the toughest look they'd gotten all camp. Offensive linemen said they felt the rhythm with him back there. That matters. It all matters. By midweek, reps were changing again. No announcement, just more first-team snaps quietly being handed to Shedeur during install periods. And when the second preseason game arrived, he got the start. 1 drive, touchdown, then another, 3 straight scores before being pulled early in the second quarter. By that point, it wasn't even a question of if anymore. It was just a matter of when. Because in a league built on waiting your turn, Shedeur Sanders skipped the line, crashed the system, and handed the Cleveland Browns their first clear quarterback identity since maybe ever. He didn't ask for the crown, but he wore it like it was always his.